Hey everyone, I'm Janet Johnson. Welcome to Social Media Hangout Time. I am very excited today. It's going to be a whole different thing. We basically have a new Kimmy. Well, not really, but Kimmy is being semi-replaced. We're going to test a new host, and I'm very excited to have Terry Bean on. Hey Terry.
Hi, Janet. I'm sorry I didn't do anything with my hair to get it all wild and fun like the old person. Well, the old puppet.
Puppet.
But, the good news is I know exactly where my hands are, so I'm excited about that.
That's great. Well, yeah, Kimmy was a lot of fun, but we're just testing things to see how it's going to go. And we also have, from show number 5, Mike ONeil. He had been with us on show number 5, and Terry had been with us on show number 3. So we're kind of bringing these guys back on, and it's going to be so much fun because these are two of my favorite hangout guys, social media guys. So thanks, Mike, for coming on.
Welcome, and I know Terry. I've met Terry in person even, in Detroit, no less. Right, Terry?
States away, buddy. It doesn't even matter, right? You can be connected via the internet, or you can get connected in real life. I love doing both.
Hey, Minnesota and Michigan are pretty kindred spirits in terms of what we go through, right?
Without question. I don't know if you know this, Mike. Janet and I went to high school together. I lived in Minnesota.
I did know that. That was so wonderful. She's going, do you happen to know? And I go, yes, I do.
It's kind of, yeah, it's so amazing how people know each other in so many different ways. Oh, I know that person, I know that person. But we had public speaking class together in high school. I don't know if you remember that. But we had, believe it or not, it was public speaking class. So, yeah.
I remember sleeping on a desk next to you in some class. That's what I recall.
Yes. Yeah. Well, let's introduce Mike properly, and then let's go ahead and talk business here and have a lot of fun with it, but we want to teach our audience some lessons on LinkedIn today. So Mike is the LinkedIn rock star. He's Forbes' top 50 social media power influencer, 2 years running, and an internationally acclaimed LinkedIn authority. He inspires audience with vision, energy, and style, as you've probably already seen, using the inspiration of classic rock music to demonstrate the relationship, building power, and business potential of LinkedIn. And as you can see by his background, he definitely has that rock theme going on there. Now, if you're listening, sorry, you'll have to watch on video. But that's why we like the visual too, but we will try to make sure that we're speaking in lingo for the podcast listeners.
Hey, I'm powered by Compaq here. 64K and 2 floppies plus.
Seriously.
That was Hendrix's first computer back there, wasn't it?
Yeah, there you go. That's right. That's how we did Crosstown. Mixed it.
That's great. Yeah, he's always so much fun to have on. So if you didn't see show number 5, you'll have to watch Mike. There were a lot of lessons about, I believe that one was about profiles and pictures on LinkedIn and how to wow those. And you had some really great tips there. So today we're going to talk more about the LinkedIn Sales Navigator. And you mentioned this to Terry and I beforehand. So we did a little research, but I can't wait to hear you talk about what your thoughts are on it, and then we'll just kind of chime in.
Well, I'll tell you, it's a mixed bag, okay? It's very self-serving for someone like myself to tout it as this biggest, baddest thing, since it's being touted sort of as a CRM accompaniment. Companies generally buy it for their employees, as opposed to employees buy it for themselves and maybe expense it. So there's sort of the big turning point. A little bit, the company gets the bill, for the most part. It can be done in what's called a team edition. So when an employee comes into the company, they get a license, and when they leave the company, the license comes back to be reissued, kind of like a corporate laptop, kind of comes and goes. Kind of like Salesforce.com, don't you think? I mean, familiar with Salesforce.com? Terry's probably familiar with it and all. It's a corporate asset. It's not an employee's, bring your own device, like you bring your own cell phone in and it goes home with you. It stays there. And the reason people implement CRM systems is so they can gather that corporate data, right? So when an employee leaves, they're not leaving, their whole bunch of business with them, taking it with them. It kind of stays. It's company business, not their business. And of course, aren't there a lot of gray areas there?
You know, Mike, it's interesting. A few years ago, I wrote an article called Who Owns Your Network? Because as a sales professional, a lot of times we get hired based on our Rolodex. And while we're there, we're getting paid to continually build and update that Rolodex. So arguably, there's a point of your existence and a point of your network that really you got paid to bring in and to grow by your company. So I see this evolution as very, very logical. I like what LinkedIn did by retaining this as a company asset as opposed to an individual asset. Thank you for clarifying that. That's really cool to me.
Well, let's peel the onion back a little bit, Terry, because I've discovered a few things that put a little splash of water on that fire.
Yeah, nice.
So the license reverts back to the company, but the data is blown away.
Blown away as in doesn't exist any further?
As in the leads and the contacts and the communications between those people and you. Poof. The company doesn't get it. The employee doesn't get it. The box is shut down, and the empty license is handed to the next user.
What's the rationale there?
That's my thought. Why did they do it that way? Do you have any reasoning behind that?
Let's explore these moral dilemmas here. You know, it's kind of interesting. Picture yourself as a strategist here. So let's say I've got. By the way, I guess I need to explain a little bit more about Navigator first before we really talk about the license part. So let me kind of go down the path a little bit. With Navigator, you get two inboxes because Navigator is an entirely separate program. Navigator is not an add-on to LinkedIn. It's a toggle switch. You're in Navigator or you're in LinkedIn. And you'll discover quite quickly that you've got tab open, because it wants you to open up something from Navigator. View it in LinkedIn, view it in Navigator, and when you do, it starts popping up these windows, extra windows. Doesn't take you, flip where you are in this URL. It just says, oh, we'll open another window. We'll open another window, and you get this little in, and you start toggling through. Thank God I discovered a way to toggle between the tabs. On my Mac, it's Control Tab, so I can just go Control Tab, Tab, Tab to go between the tabs. I think it's kind of nice. That's a little trick I learned and practice part of the Navigator training. We teach that tip now.
It's Control Tab and not Command Tab on the Mac? It's Control Tab, not Command Tab on the Mac?
Control Tab on the Mac, yeah.
Okay, because normally Control on a PC is Command on a Mac, so I'm curious as to what it might be on a PC.
Yeah, well, you have maybe four options between Function, Control, Option, Tab, and Shift and all. It might be different, and it might be different on different browsers. This is on Chrome.
Fair enough. Is there any other browser anymore?
I have to use Firefox for a few things. Firefox has a plugin called Greasemonkey, and then there's tools that sit on top of Greasemonkey that kind of use it as an app development platform. So I'm using a neat tool called LinkedIn Autopilot, actually, that goes and visits profiles. It does profile visits for you. You show up on who's viewed my profile.
That's a good tip right there.
LinkedIn Autopilot. Yep. And if anyone wants to reach out to me, I'll give them some tips and some ideas on how to best use it and all. At the end here, we'll kind of get a hold of each other and stuff. But LinkedIn Autopilot requires the Greasemonkey plugin that only works in Firefox, and then it sits on top of it. It's sort of like a piece of middleware software, and it sits on top, so you don't have to write all that code between the browser and it. And you put in these searches, these long tail searches, so to say. This industry, that place, this zip code, so many employees, however you kind of form that link.
Now, is this a free or is it paid?
$10 a month.
Okay.
Yep, and there's a new feature that's launching as we speak now, maybe by the time this airs, that actually goes to a person's profile and endorses one skill.
Interesting.
So you see someone has endorsed you. You see someone has visited you. It's a slight prospecting tool. It's like a wink on or a poke or something on somebody.
A poke. So
Remember poke?
a poke on Facebook, that's just got to go at this point. But anyway.
Still a thing. I want to throw sheep, damn it. Where are the sheep?
Just need to get rid of the poke. But anyway.
On Match.com, if you want to kind of, get someone's a little attention just a little bit, you like one of their pictures. You kind of wink. You got those kind of functions there, and it's a social platform. It just has a different social purpose.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So when we talk about Navigator itself, you've got to realize you're in Navigator or you're in LinkedIn. And in Navigator, you're able to create leads and contacts. Okay, leads and companies. Okay, when we get over to Salesforce.com, we've got equivalents there. There's leads in Salesforce. There's leads in LinkedIn. So that's pretty good so far, right? Leads and leads. And there's a link to it. You can download your leads out of Salesforce into Navigator. There's no from Navigator into Salesforce, but there's this way, and frankly, it doesn't work really well. There's a lot of configuration things that need to be done on the Salesforce side by a Salesforce administrator who has access to set flags on accounts and all kinds of stuff. So it's a pretty tricky setup. But companies that are implementing Salesforce.com at any sort of a large scale have got an administrator to do this stuff. And you're working with the enterprise support team at LinkedIn, and they're pretty darn responsive. I mean, I get at least an acknowledgement that they autoresponder acknowledgement that they got my question, and usually within a couple hours, I get a note back that tries to answer my question. Key is ask a very pointed question, and you'll get at least a more pointed answer. Not I didn't say a pointed answer, a more pointed answer, right? And because you're dealing now with almost tier 2 help when you're dealing with the Navigator support people, like you are with LinkedIn Recruiter. You're not dealing with the normal kind of first run right out of college, intern sort of people that are looking for the quickest way out. So we've got essentially 2 environments. Now, when you upgrade to Navigator from a free account versus upgrade to Navigator from a paid account, life's a little different for you. Janet, are you a paid subscriber?
No.
Terry?
I am, yes.
Okay, so we've got one. So this will be good. I can tell you if each of you were to upgrade to Navigator, where this little thing comes into play. So let's say Janet upgrades to Navigator. She's a free user. She's not paying anything now, and now she's going to pay either $47.99, $79.99, or $129.99.
Is that yearly?
No, that's monthly.
That's monthly. Okay.
So you could say 50, 80, or 130 bucks.
Okay.
There is not a single place, and I have confirmed this with all the folks at LinkedIn, that you can get a comparison of all 3 of those.
Doesn't exist, eh?
Doesn't exist, yeah. We have small, medium, and large. Would you like to compare them? Here's the small. Here's the data. I print out the 3 data sheets to try to go between them, and I'm preparing my own grid and comparison for a post I'm doing. So pay attention. Watch.
Great.
I really think I'm probably one of the folks who knows Navigator more than just about anybody. I don't. Maybe there's people that know it more than I, but they don't work at LinkedIn. They don't. The product is one that didn't involve a lot of customer testing beforehand, because that dual inbox thing is one thing they really would have caught. Perhaps there's got to be some way to make it work that way. So in the old days of data, we had something called a SQL Server database. Does anyone sort of remember what that was? Basically there was this database back here, and you can put different front ends on it. You can hit it with Excel. You can hit it with this. It's almost like a web app that you can hit with any browser. So in this case here, the database is the LinkedIn database back here, and you can hit it with LinkedIn, or you can hit it with Navigator, or you can hit it with LinkedIn Recruiter. It's the same database, but the front end on it is different. In the Navigator world out here, that's where your in-mails are. So your Navigator inbox is where you send in-mails and where you're supposed to do your business, right? And that's sort of the corporate side of it, and you can kind of have LinkedIn for yourself over here, but the corporate stuff's going to happen over here. But the problem is when the employee leaves, the corporate stuff just goes. Just like this.
If you're listening, he left the screen. Okay.
It was a great visual.
Yeah. So I think they got to work that one out. Employers are going to find that out. They don't bring that up in the presentation. Obviously, it's not brought up in a number of ways, and that's going to come up. Here's where the moral dilemma was. Okay, so if you're conversing through the Navigator communication system, sending messages and in mails and communications, even invites and stuff to them. You're developing a dialogue with this person, and when you leave, that dialogue is still there. It's like a phone line that's still there. It's still up, and people are talking, but no one's listening anymore. I've left. So those customers that were communicating with their sales rep all of a sudden go dark because the person's not there. There's no one looking at that inbox anymore. There's one function. Okay. Now, let's flip to the other side and talk about the wonderful things about Navigator, because there are some pretty good things. If you're a hunter, if you're hunting accounts, either hunting a specific account or industry, or farming within things, hunting and farming, it lets you find other people at these companies that would be good leads for you. So let's say you're calling on Cargill, which is a big food company. It lets you know the other people at Cargill that would be good people. If you like these people, you might like those. That kind of Amazon principle, right? If you like vice presidents, guess what? Here's some more that you might not know about. That's a really powerful feature. And when you're dealing with industries and all, it'll find other companies as well. But I'll tell you, I studied it hard. I probably spent 30 or 40 hours just deep head down, just discovering all these little things. And then I had to decide we need to train LinkedIn differently if Navigator's involved. You have to go back and teach LinkedIn again, because now you've got the dual inboxes, and like you said in your case, Janet, you don't have advanced search tools like searching by company size. You've got a few things that you can do, but there's all these little advanced search functions on the right of your advanced search screen that you don't get to check. And company size being the one that's most important for me. I don't call on companies less than 500 employees, for the most part. Certainly.
So, Mike, you're saying that size does in fact matter?
Oh.
Guys know that. The mine's bigger principle. I've got a 427 and you got a 327. Who's better?
I'm gonna have to go with you all day long, buddy.
Cubic inches. Notice I didn't say inches.
Yeah.
So size and weight matters too. By the way, weight being smaller, better rather than that. So in the case of Terry now, Terry upgrades to Navigator, and he retains his paid license and adds the Navigator license to it. Terry gets those advanced search key features out there on LinkedIn still, and he gets the Navigator stuff. You literally will have 2 accounts if you're going to seriously do this, and I didn't think it was possible. And you should see the strings I have from the enterprise support group. I'm going, are you sure that this is really the case, that I can have 2 paid accounts with 1 person on LinkedIn? Are you really sure that works? Yes, we are. So I'm probably going to be adding the $23 a month package onto my $79 a month package so I don't lose those features over there. Because there's a lot of tools that I use and a lot of things that require more than 100 search results. Janet gets 100 search results. Terry gets 300 or more. When you're using these tools in a serious way, there's a big difference. Not just a 3x difference; it's bigger than 3x here. Because the groups of people that I call on, I can whittle it down, or I can't. And here's why I can't: because those extra search functions out there are blocked off for me. I've got the free LinkedIn account and Navigator. Okay? If I had the paid LinkedIn account and Navigator, I'd get it all, kind of the best of both worlds. They're really gearing towards a $100 a month account. That's really kind of what it's going to come to. I think that people are going to discover that, we got to package it a little bit differently. It should be $100 a month, and it should include the business features that they're used to, those advanced tools, as well as the tools over here that we have with Navigator.
Everything I've seen looks like this came out sometime last summer. And I'll be honest, Mike, as a guy who uses LinkedIn fairly regularly, several times a week, when Janet mentioned you and I talking in this particular call and that this was going to be your topic, that was the first mention of LinkedIn Sales Navigator I had heard. So can you give us a little history and where that came from?
Yeah, it did launch in the summer, and there was a revision to it that happened in the November-ish timeframe. It's probably ready for another revision or two, quite frankly. I mean, there's a few things about it that are a little on the missing side. Advanced search functions on Navigator don't have all the tools that the advanced search functions have over on LinkedIn. They're not offered over there.
Wow.
That's why you kind of need to have both capabilities over there. Dealing with the enterprise team is a different animal. It's sort of like you've got a priority access to LinkedIn. Now, you might not like the answers to the questions, but the answers come back quickly, and that's pretty nice.
That's good for
I'm
them.
expecting the Salesforce.com integration to increase quite a bit, so you'll be able to take data in both directions. And frankly, I really thought that the salvation was that you can back up your lead information and your communication information from LinkedIn into Salesforce and maybe even repopulate it back down again to the next rep if you needed to. And that's not there now, but I'm expecting that's probably going to be the case as well. The Navigator product, I believe, is going to really take off. I really think the future of this is great. It's the present right now is a little bit dicey, but the future of it is great. I mean, think about the average sales rep right now at a big corporation or so has got a whole bunch of applications that they're using. They've got LinkedIn, they've got Twitter, and then they've got like ClearSlide and Inside View, the suite of SaaS-based tools that a sales rep has now that they use could be 10 long. And this is just kind of one of them, and it's probably the one that they care about the most, quite frankly. Between Salesforce.com and LinkedIn, those are the two tools that I think a sales rep cares about the most. Don't make him go into a call blind without knowing that this guy went to BYU instead of ASU. You handle the call differently, right?
Can you share a success story from your usage of it for us?
Yeah, sure can. I'm doing targeted campaigns. So here's my current book that just came out, Rock the World with LinkedIn version.
Oh yeah.
There you go. Yes, you do. And it's kind of laid out like a website. Actually, it's not laid out in a traditional book way. So you're kind of coaxed through it. Well, I'm doing another book called Social Media 4.0. It's about the future of the Salesforce sales rep user interface. So it's about these tools that we just talked about, and how the place where they sit right now, they sit in Salesforce. These sales reps primarily sit in Salesforce and spend a little bit of time on these other tools. LinkedIn being probably number 2. But that's going to change because the universal inbox is what's coming up, and it's going to require a whole lot of communication between programs. They call them APIs. It's going to require a lot of programs to talk to each other. So I'm using the tool, I'm using Navigator to get 20-minute calls with these other influencers at these companies. So I found one vice president at AT&T is one of the companies, for example. And it says, oh, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one, here's another one. So I'm going down. I'm trying not to do too many at one time, right? You just flood it, and you might find out that you had a typo in your message. You go, like, I just said 500 of them before I realized that. But it's suggesting other people to me that I send my message out to about doing an interview for this Social Media 4.0 book. because I want to talk to telecom vice presidents about the things that their teams are saying are the biggest issues, the time suckers. And I know one of them is the inbox. You know, I sent you a message, Terry. Where would you go to look for it? If I sent you a message, where would you go to look for that? I said the word message. I saw, or my note. Did you get my note? Where do you go to look for that note?
I'll tell you where the last place I go to is my LinkedIn inbox, and like I said, I use it frequently. So if it's not in my email inbox, I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but it's pretty darn close to non-existent to me. Is that true for you, Janet?
Yeah. Yep. If I'm not alerted in through, well, or I check my app and I have the numbers, you know, and so I clean it out once in a while. That's kind of how I use the LinkedIn and that kind of thing to connect with. I see people have connected, but it typically goes to my inbox. You're exactly right. And if anything that goes there, I'll see. But otherwise, it can be missed.
So it'll actually send you an email out. Sure.
It does. Oh, okay.
I choose not to. My inbox is something that's rather cluttered.
Well, we all are. Yeah.
I have right now 7 LinkedIn windows open. Of course, I'm using Navigator.
Nice.
By the end of the day, that'll be 15, potentially.
Huh.
I'm using it pretty hard. And when you're researching a company, you're researching multiple individuals, and you might be looking at them in Navigator or in LinkedIn because you need to look at them kind of both ways sometimes. So, but there's an example, and then, of course, when they are interested, I send them my scheduling link, my calendar scheduling link, and let them pick a time that's most available for them. Now, what I learned is don't send the scheduling link in the initial email. Only send it to people that are interested. When you're asking somebody for something and you're sending a link with them, it seems fishy. It seems like you're trying to drive someone to someplace. It almost seems like, you know, there's a suspicion, and it doesn't need to be there. So when they express interest, then I send them my Calendly link. And I've actually set it up a redirect, so I have schedulewithmike.com that forwards to the Calendly link.
Perfect.
Now that can look spammy as well, because I could send you to some place out there that you would click to and go like, oh my God, what is this? Whereas if you go to calendly.com / in my case, Michael ONeil / 30 or 60 minutes, you know exactly where you're going. So I'm kind of between that. If you're going to do something that might be in print or so, you certainly don't want to use the long Calendly / this and that. But there's my example of how I'm using it, and that's all done within LinkedIn. There's no communications outside of LinkedIn with that. That's all.
So with an action step for the viewers, and somebody's listening right now that's really intrigued and wants to know how to use this, what they need to do, that kind of thing, what would you suggest? What would their next steps be after listening to this?
Well, if you're interested in Navigator, seriously, you should contact me. I know the little things that are not in the brochure, as they say. I know the workarounds for it and all, and there's more coming all the time. Seriously, there's just little nuances that you just could have never thought about. So here, let's just use an example. So on the LinkedIn side, I can choose a particular LinkedIn group that I want to message people from. You know, and I'm a member of the group. You're a member of the group, Terry. We can send unlimited messages, right? Isn't that one of the best features? Huh, Janet? Both of you? Isn't that one of the best features? If you're a marketing person, you love those free messages that you'd have to pay $10 for an email if you weren't in the same group. You know, it saves you $10. Wow. Okay. Well, there's no such thing on the Navigator side. So that's why you've got to do those communications, those member-to-member communications on the LinkedIn side, because that feature of the free function, no less, the free function on LinkedIn isn't even available on Navigator. So what the processes that a rep has to go through to know when do I do this and when do I do that and when can I not do it at all is something that really needs to fall into a curriculum, not a bunch of tips, not a bunch of things. It really needs to kind of flow from, you know, the baby becomes the grandpa and passes away. You really got to go through this process. And differently, you have to put aside some of the things that you know about LinkedIn now, and just kind of like put them on the side and kind of relearn it all over again. It's like maybe things are different when you drive an electric car than a car. It's still driving. Or a stick shift versus an automatic. You just got to relearn some of the things that you learn sort of along the way. So
Okay.
I would, and also the $47.99 version of Navigator. Good luck finding that link. Good luck.
Yeah, I only saw a $100 version, so clearly I didn't find the right versions.
It's hidden. It's hidden. I had to seriously beat out LinkedIn to get the link to it. And I use @LinkedIn Help on Twitter, @LinkedIn Help to do some of my stuff. And then you've got the LinkedIn trouble ticket system, and then you've got the Navigator trouble ticket system. So there's 3 systems you can use.
So, Mike, you can dodge this one if you'd like, but I'm curious. Do you see this as a tool that's going to add more to shareholder value or LinkedIn customer value?
Well, not to LinkedIn customer, meaning the sales reps who use it?
Exactly. Someone that's actually going to use the tool and hopefully find some value in it.
I think it's pretty equal, Terry. It really does have a huge potential, but it needs to be more tightly integrated with the CRM. The only CRM function is to take leads out of Salesforce down into LinkedIn. That's the only connectivity piece right now. Frankly, I would call it not even a beta product. It's a product and still in development. Now, if you're a hunter and you're going after big accounts and stuff, it really fits well. If you're a farmer and you want to sell more to accounts that you're already penetrating, it fits well. Those environments is where I recommend it. A corporate environment where you're hunting or farming with big accounts that have multiple decision makers at those accounts. It fits there, and I do recommend it for those people, but only under a certain training umbrella. I do not recommend it for the SOHO, the small people, and folks like that. It just, and I don't think it's really designed for that.
Do you think it will be at some point?
You know, first of all, I think the price point of Navigator is going to keep going up and up and up.
Okay.
I mean, right now, $130 is the top level. You know, the top level on LinkedIn Recruiter is $500 or more. You know, I think it's headed to the $200 range, $250 range, with some extra features. Now, if you really want people to be happy about spending this money, you'll do it through adding more features that makes them want to buy that, as opposed to charging them more for the same product or taking features away and coercing them by, you know, do you want to see the last names of those people? Guess what? Yesterday you could see it, today you can't. Now you got to pay. You didn't have to use to pay to see that.
Hostage.
There's plenty of room for them to add more features to it. And I do think the future of the product is really, really good. It just needs to be, it needs more than a .1 release. It needs a 2.0. You know, I'd say it's even barely a 1.0 release right now. But if you are a hunter or a farmer with big accounts, if your clients have more than 1,000 employees, more than 5, more than 10,000 employees, hundreds of thousands of employees, it's a really good tool for that. It'll find customers for you that you wouldn't find on your own.
Cool.
Nice summary.
Okay, well that is a lot of information about the LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and it almost sounds like they were maybe a little jumped before they should have to launch this product. Kind of sounding like a little bit. They have some fixes to do in the meantime, but it sounds like it would work really well for certain types of people. So let's get your information for all the people listening that want to, you know, contact you. And also I wanted you to talk a little bit more about your book, because you kind of flashed it, but let's talk a little bit more about that book, and then, well, flash, that was bad. Bad wording again, sorry. And then just talk about where we can find you and how to get in contact with you.
Sure. I have one really great domain for people to find me. It's MikeIsOnline.com. MikeIsOnline.com. You can find my LinkedIn, my Twitter, my Google+, my Facebook, everything from there. I'm primarily a LinkedIn guy, so you're going to see that kind of at the top. At MikeIsOnline.com. It's just a URL that redirects to this landing page that has all those sort of links on it.
Okay, cool.
Rock the world with LinkedIn 2.1. Okay, notice it's not just another number. It's got a 2.1 on it. You know, it is a rather techie book. Okay, but it's really kind of done in a way that can appeal to just about anybody. So what we do here is we help you fit in profile-wise by optimizing things of the norms of LinkedIn. You know, where do keywords go? How many words? Is it first person, third person? What information goes with it? And then how to really stand out so that you're not only caught up in the searches. Yes, I'm there. I might be on, you know, page wickety-woo over here. I might be on page 1. But to spring from the page with something that really sticks out, your picture, your headline, other things out there that let you get selected when you're being compared to all the other people that are on the screen on the search. So someone does a search for LinkedIn trainer, and they see, oh, yeah. Oh, look at this guy here. That's the one I want to click on. So, for example, that's a real example there where the picture and headline kind of come into play. And the book also discusses how to step out and stand out in your actions, your status updates and things that create a little stream of stuff that create attention from users and from people who might, you know, you're connected to, but you don't really know them. You know, they're not paying attention to you except they see these streams that come through, the status updates. And like in those status updates, you want to have a picture and a URL, and you want to go to a place that's, you know, consistent with what the people are expecting. That's what's covered in the book. I wrote it with Lori Ruff. This revision was done over the last 6 months. And you know what? At the end of the 6 months, we had to go back and change a few more things because LinkedIn changed a few things there as well.
Sure.
So it's always going to be a little bit that way. This is a 2015 book now. Something that's fully updated as of 2015. Now, it's got a classic rock soundtrack. RockTheWorldFan.com will get you to information about the book. RockTheWorldFan.com. It'll also get you the classic rock soundtrack. It plays for about 3 hours. Behind the scenes, it's essentially a YouTube set list that mentions the 50-some songs we reference in the book that keep things up. Plays for about 3 hours, Terry. You'll love it. Starts out.
I'm gonna look it up right now. Well, absolutely.
Turner Overdrive, Taking Care of Business is the first song.
Of course.
Nice.
They would have probably said "Taking Care of LinkedIn" if they would have done that song in 2015.
Well, here's an interesting thing. They did the song in the book in 2012.
Oh, really?
The videos that I picked off of YouTube. This is a video soundtrack. The ones that I picked were either ones that were new from the bands or had you know, a different person you know, sitting in with the band or some special thing, or the original MTV music video was just so cool I just had to include the original one. Like Howard Jones, Like to Know You Well.
Oh, love Howard Jones. Even went to his concert.
I saw Howard Jones too, way back when he was.
I saw him too, 1983. Unbelievable.
Oh, we're aging ourselves.
He opened for the Eurythmics.
He's so cool, but he really was really kind of weird hair and stuff. I think
yeah.
Flock of Seagulls might have been part of that equation as well.
That's great. Awesome. Well, sounds like a different book. It's not the same as everybody else's. And then, you get the bonus of the soundtracks, too, so that's really cool. We are going to have all the notes. You just gave us tons of links, tons of tips, tools, all that. We are going to have all that. You are show number 41, Mike. So our audience can find it at socialmediahangouttime.com/41. That's simple. So we will have all this. You don't have to remember it, write it down, all that kind of stuff. Just head over to that, and you can grab the links there and the tools, because, Mike, you gave us a ton of info. We really appreciate it, and thanks so much for coming on.
You and Terry are a lot of fun. Your show is really cool, too. I enjoyed the last show a whole lot. Now that I know Terry, you know, we kind of got this, you got a nice mix, you know, that I'm kind of a fan of that sort of, you know, man-woman mix online and stuff, you know. It seems to work pretty well.
Yeah. Cool. Well, thanks a lot.
Thank you very much.